Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Wilds of Eldraine until those Chromatic Cube drafts go live. Still, question mark for that. Sounds like it might be November 7th is the buzz about it, but we'll see. Without further ado, let's just get back into the Eldraine format. We've got some powerful green cards in our opening pack. A Sentinel of Lost Lore is just a large creature for the mana cost, with some interesting flexible abilities, but Agatha's Champion is the card that I prefer here, being a creature that can also function as a removal spell at the same time. Giving you 2 cards worth of value off of 1 spell is always fantastic, and I am happy to take Agatha's Champion as a 2-for-1 here. Obviously, we need to find some bargain fodder so we can actually trigger that enter the battlefield effect, but that is not super hard to do in the format, so happy to start with an Agatha's Champion here. For pack 1, pick 2, we have a Ratcatcher Trainee, which is one of Red's better commons. Gives you some bargain fodder with the pest problem, or it curves out as a nice aggressive creature. Gatekeeper is one of Blue's better commons, being early interaction and a big 6-5 late game, but don't really like hopping on Blue early in this format. Also Belligerent to the ball, which is probably a little bit better than taking a Ratcatcher Trainee here if we're taking a red card. 3 mana for a 3/3. If you can trigger Celebration, you're getting a great trigger. You're getting +1/+0 and Menace at the start of combat on the turn that you had 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield. We could also just take a Galefang if I just want to stick to mono green for now, but I don't feel like Galefang is a considerably powerful card at all. It's just stats. It's just the body, really. And I much prefer cards with more flexible kind of abilities. So we'll take the Belligerent of the ball here, speculate towards red, although it is only pick 2, so it's not really speculating yet. Anyways, we're on to pick 3 now. We've got a cut-in for a great removal spell for an aggressive deck. Massive, massive fan of cut-in. We could definitely take that here. It is competing with a Candy Grapple, which is an even more efficient removal spell. A little bit less powerful, but obviously for half the mana cost, that's fine. It is super, super efficient, though. It's instant speed, and it can trade up pretty far in terms of mana value if you cast it for the bargain, clearing out sometimes even like a 5-mana creature with your 2-mana instant speed removal spell is just great. Yeah, I guess we should be staying open here, just taking the purely strongest card in the pack each time, and that is Candy Grapple here. After these 2 really premium removal spells, it falls down to these solid uncommons with Embereth Veteran and Sellsword, but the removal spells definitely beat those uncommons. For pick 4 now, we've got a Ratcatcher Trainee again. There's also a Hatching Plans we could take to try to go with our Candy Grapple or our Agatha's Champion, move into a blue bargain strategy. Hatching Plans is one of the strongest reasons to try to be in blue in this format. It is not that difficult to turn this into just 2 mana draw 3, which is an absurdly good deal. So I think Hatching Plans would be reasonable, but I'll take the Ratcatcher Trainee, stick to a color I've already got a spell in, and a color I enjoy a little more. Pack 1, pick 5, we've got the nice little aggressive Harried Spearguard. Non-crescendo, super playable in these aggro decks as well, but you do not need many copies, so I tend to pick these up really late in the draft pod generally, because I'm only ever looking for 1. So if I pick 1 early and then I get past another when there's nothing else in the pack, that is a pretty big downside when I could have a Spearguard and a Crescendo if I take the Crescendo later. The Spearguard, just cheap creatures in general, are the kind of cards that I can run tons and tons of copies of before I need to cut any of them, whereas Crescendo is very diminishing returns very quickly for me. So go for the Spearguard here. Next best pick is Frolicking Familiar, because it's just the strongest card in the pack up front, but it is very narrow, having to be in blue and red to make it the strongest card. Here's a card that's super flexible. Edgewall In is a card that ends up in every single deck you play in this format, because it's going to be mana fixing no matter what your colors are, and basically every deck in this format is going to have some amount of creatures with adventures on them as well, so it's mana fixing in the early game that can be late game graveyard recursion, picking up a Ratcatcher Trainee from your grave to recast it or something like that. So huge fan of Edgewall In. Very easy pick there. Pick 7, still seeing some great red cards. Actually, great stuff in all of our colors. I didn't see a lot of good black or green these last few packs, but now we have Voracious Vermin and Ferocious Werefox for great black and green cards. Galefang's also okay, but that's kind of just a big dork. We are 3 cards deep into red and only 1 card deep into black and green, so I'm just going to stick to the red here and grab that Grand Ballgast, which I do prefer to Boundary Lands Ranger, because it is not super hard to trigger Celebration. There's some cards that'll do it by themselves, and often you're just playing enough permanents in general to do it. Whereas Boundary Lands Ranger, getting a 4-power creature on board, that feels like it happens a little less consistently. So we'll go for the Grand Ballgast there, but yeah, I love seeing that there's still a Vermin and a Werefox there in that pack. That's pretty nice. Now we'll take a Rat out. We've got a really aggressive suite of red creatures here. And the more aggressive our deck is, the less kind of splashy we want to be. And Crystal Grotto is basically just purely for splashing. Not the kind of card I really want to play in anything aggressive. So I'm not going to be scooping that up. So speculate on the rat out there. Speculation because we don't know for sure what the second color is. I guess it's a Wicked Visitor here. I'm not going to be playing a Territorial Witch Stalker or a Garruk's Uprising. Don't really want to go super deep on the power 4 greater kind of build. It's not super consistent. But once we get really late in the pack and there's nothing else to take, I guess we might as well. Not even considering Ice Out, because the majority of the cards we've taken so far are like really aggressive cards, and the Ice Out style counterspells are kind of for the opposite of an aggro deck. That's a pick 11 Embereth Veteran, and I'm tremendously happy to be in red. This card is great. A 1-mana 2/1 to get a bunch of damage in early, and whenever it is no longer relevant, you can just turn it into a young hero roll to start getting some +1/+1 counters somewhere else. Alright. Solid stuff. Out of pack 1. I think it's almost impossible that we play Skybeast Tracker or Bloodline. Witch Stalker, sometimes it happens. But yeah, we'll keep all these here for now. Definitely not gonna pack 2 pick 1 a Merry Bards. I think it's a reasonable card. I'll usually end up with 1 copy in a lot of my red decks, but it's nothing that you want to take super highly. Probably do just go for the Devouring Sugar Maw. We're gonna have to make sure we've got a good amount of other artifacts, enchantments, and tokens to get this thing going, because it's going to be hard to try to splash in the adventure that Have for Dinner, but it is a really powerful card, so I think it's worth taking over the Feed the Cauldron here. That's basically the only cards competing, because the green cards are not great for an aggro deck, so let's grab that Sugar Maw, see if we can get enough tokens to get it working. Pack 2, pick 2, there's an Edgewall pack and a Hearth Elemental. Both are fantastic cards. Hearth Elemental, great at being the top of your curve. Once you're out of stuff to do, you just discard your hand, draw 2, and then you get to slam down a 4/5 later. So really nice value play when you're out of other spells. And the Edgewall pack is a nice evasive threat with Menace that also gives you that wide board state to trigger Celebration and to give you more bargain fodder and stuff. So I like both of these quite a bit. I think Edgewall pack works a little better with what we have right now because of the Belligerent, the Ballgast, the Sugar Maw wants tokens to sack. We've got an Agatha's Champion for bargain, a Candy Grapple for bargain. So even if I end up in green-red instead of black-red, I think Edgewall pack still synergizes well. So I take that Edgewall pack pretty highly here. Scoop it up over the Hearth Elemental. For pick 3... we've got the nice little exile removal spell in black, which is fine. 4 mana to be able to exile anything is relatively efficient, but when you're a super aggressive deck like this, 4 mana just to remove something and not impact the board in any way, well, sorry, not buff your board in any way or anything like that is a bit much. Technically, you are impacting the board by clearing something out of the way, but like with Cut In, you're clearing something out of the way and getting more damage in. And these kind of aggro decks can end up running a lot of treason effects to actually just steal your opponent's big late game threat and kill them with it. I honestly think I'd rather just take a Sweet Tooth Witch or flick a coin here. And I'm going to take a Sweet Tooth Witch over the 4 mana removal and certainly over the 5 mana Shatter the Oath removal. Now we can take a Ratcatcher Trainee. Be very happy with that. And we look pretty committed to red-black here at this point. Could still edge wall in an Agatha's Champion into the deck, use that for green, but probably not. I suppose if I took that flick a coin and got some of the little goblins that spit out treasure tokens, we could get there, but ideally we're not doing any splashing here. Take another Grand Ballguest. Don't really want to play Bellowing Bruiser, Warehouse Tabby, or Dream Spoilers. They're all okay at their mana cost, but there are better things to be doing. I think I've already got 3 pretty great 1-drops that I would all prefer over the Tabby, so I guess we'll take the Bruiser here. Again, there are positions where this card's going to be incredible. If your opponent just has 2 blockers up and you can find lethal, then boom, beat a path, win the game. Sometimes maybe your opponent's board is relatively empty, or they only have like a 3/3 blocker or something, and then a 4/4 haste just gets damage in. But both halves of the card are just a bit overcosted, and that stacks up a good portion. I'm just going to take Dragon Mantle here. I think we're deep or heavy enough onto red that might end up being kind of an impressive amount of damage. The really nice thing about Dragon Mantle, obviously you want to use it when your opponent's tapped out, so that they can't kill your creature in response and stop you from drawing the card. But as long as you do that, you draw a card just right when you play it. So even if the creature that you put it on ends up dying to some kind of removal, you're not getting 2 for 1. That is one of the big problems with a lot of auras, is when you spend 2 mana to put your Bestial Bloodline on your 2/2 or something, and then your opponent plays a single Candy Grapple, they kill your 2/2 and your Bloodline. Bloodline even sort of gets around that by letting you pick it up for 5 mana later, but that is so late in the game that you still get hit really hard when they removal spell your creature that you put your aura onto, and it doesn't really feel that bad when it's a Dragon Mantle, because you just immediately get the card back, immediately cycle the Dragon Mantle into whatever you would have drawn had you not drawn into Dragon Mantle. Stuff we won't be playing, so I'm just going to rare draft the highest rarity card to fill that vault progress a little faster. Probably not playing Unruly Catapult, but maybe we can get a full mono red little pile going, which would be nuts. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. We get the best uncommon in the format, the Imidane's Recruiter, which in this deck is going to be good even without the trained troops, but we do have an Edgewall in that we could play on white every now and then, and by playing Edgewall in on white, that would give us access to both Devouring Sugarmaw's Adventure and Imidane's Recruiter's Adventure, so we'll want to keep that in mind. But yeah, Imidane's Recruiter, ridiculously good card when you get to train troops and then cast it, and still just so much extra damage just playing it by itself as that 3 mana 2/2 that buffs your whole board. So, I mean, we take the Recruiter here. We'd love to get the Apple back, which we probably won't, since it goes into anybody's aggro deck, as it is a colorless spell, but maybe we'll wheel a Grabby Giant or a Monstrosity instead, which would also be solid additions to this deck. Okay, pack 3, pick 2, grab another Edgewall in. Another white source here. I mean, now that I'm 100% locked into what I'm doing, Edgewall in's a little less exciting because part of what's so exciting about taking Edgewall in early is you know it makes the cut no matter what you're playing. I still think with Sugarmaw and Imidane's Recruiter, Edgewall in is still pretty nuts here, because not only is it splashing the white for them, but it's also picking them up from the graveyard later. And honestly, if I get a Ballguest or an Edgewall pack or a Sweet Tooth Witch back here, I'll be happy no matter which one it is. So we'll lock in the Edgewall in and take whatever comes back. Now we have a Torch the Tower, a Gingerbread Hunter, and an Edgewall pack. We're definitely low enough on removal here that it's a competition between Torch the Tower and Gingerbread Hunter. The upside of Torch the Tower is the raw efficiency, 1 mana for 2 damage versus 3 mana for -2/-2. The upside of Gingerbread Hunter is sometimes we cast the 5/5 off of a Scarecrow Guide or an Edgewall in and get some huge value. I think since I'm already trying to splash in like a tiny bit of white adventures here, Probably going a little bit deep to also splash in some green adventure stuff, so let's just grab that guaranteed super efficient Torch the Tower. It's an incredible removal spell. It's not like we're taking a bad card over Gingerbread Hunter there. We're just going a little less deep. We don't want to be caught in a situation where I don't have a Sugar Maw, a Recruiter, or a Gingerbread Hunter in hand, but I do have the Edge Ball in, and I have to be like, well, do I want this on green or white, you know? Because that is going to spread our splashes pretty thin there. So here's a very easy Monstrosity, just a really efficient, high-power creature for a very low mana value entry fee. With Recruiter and Sugar Maw, I think I'm happy to play double Scarecrow Guide. I've already got double Bards, and that is not very exciting. Creature count is massive right now, right? Yeah, we're already at 17 creatures. Yes, I could improve my creatures by running another Monstrosity over one of these Scarecrow Guides if I get less splashy, but what I really need here are some more non-creature options. So it's between the Fealty and the Flick-a-Coin. And as awesome as Fealty is, as a way to end the game against some really big creatures, I think that, again, because of our solid white adventures with the Sugar Maw and the Recruiter, getting a treasure token for just an additional way to get one of those treasures going is going to be worth it here. It's going to be valuable. Let's rare draft the uncommon. Let's take a Crystal Grotto, and we probably actually play it in this deck at this point because of our two white adventures I've been talking about a lot. We get the Ariet's Tempting Apple to come back, and that makes me super happy because that's basically the Wicked Fealty, the Twisted Fealty that we passed up on anyway. Take a Sweet Tooth, which fits well into the curve here where we're missing out a little bit. But Ballgast's still in the pack too. This has been a wild draft pod for Black-Red. Still get an Edge Ball pack back? Well, now we just cut double Bards and just run double Edge Ball pack Sugar Maw. Deck is looking sweet. We've got 3 lands in the main deck right now, so this might just be the final build if we go for 17 lands here. We're aggressive enough we can definitely consider going for a 16 land build, and if we do that, we throw one of our Merry Bards back in, I assume. Yeah, that seems reasonable to me as well. Although we've got great things to do if we flood out a tiny bit, so I think I'm perfectly happy to play 17 lands in this deck, even though it is a pretty aggressively curved deck. Where's the style button? Why can't I turn off the Flick-a-Coin style? Oh, you have to do it this way now? Favorite. What is going on? Oh, okay, it disappeared. Well, I fixed it somehow. Clicking buttons. I turned off the parallax style for Flick-a-Coin, so I guess we sort of figured it out, but I have no idea what I did, so there's that. All right, anyways, we've got some good things to do if we're flooding out here. Mainly the fact that, like, if I flood out, 2 of my lands are lands that I sacrifice later to pick something back up. So that's 2 of my lands kind of also being a spell in some ways. And I do have some adventures to spend mana on, some food to spend mana on eating. These are big adventures potentially as well. There's some extra uses of mana here that don't actually like show up in the mana curve, so I'm pretty fine with the 17 land build here. We're going 8, 6, and then 3 of either. I think that's probably fine. Yeah, I definitely have significantly more red cards than black cards, but I don't want to cut too low on our swamps because of our Devouring Sugar Maw. We definitely want to be able to cast that. Gigantic Menace Trampler. I suppose I have the double Scarecrow Guide to help, but still think 6/8's reasonable. Maybe 5/8 is still enough, because that's 5, 3 of anything. Double Scarecrow Guide. 1 treasure now and then. Still seems a little hard there. And the nice thing about our red is there's no double red spells, so as long as I hit just 1 mountain, we're good for a little while. Obviously, we would rather have 2 mountains than 2 swamps, but we are statistically a little more likely to have 2 mountains than 2 swamps at this rate. Yep, the average game, basically anytime that I don't draw Devouring Sugar Maw, we ideally want to start our game with Mountain, Mountain, Swamp. The problem is, we want to be ready to cast Sugar Maw as quickly as possible. So, I don't really want to go for like the perfect ratio that really hits double Mountain Swamp, which is like 9-5 here. Because then that just makes it pretty hard to get to the Sugar Maw. I guess it might be reasonable, because looking at it this way, we hit that golden ratio pretty well here. We're very close to twice as many mountains as swamps, to starting off with 2 mountains and a swamp in most of our games, so that when we get to turn 4, I can play 2 red spells in the same turn, which is pretty dang important, seeing the quantity of red spells that we have here. But then also, we have enough other fixing between Scarecrow Guides, Crystal Grotto, and a treasure that hopefully, if we just hit a swamp, we'll also randomly have a Scarecrow Guide or a Crystal Grotto or a treasure to play the Sugar Maw. I think 9-5 actually does make a decent amount of sense to me. So we'll go for that. But that's basically all the deck building we gotta do. Just choose how we're building our mana base, so we'll call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at our final deck list for today, and it looks like the red-black aggro decks will continue until morale improves when they give us chromatic cube drafts. I'm still waiting. But for now, another red-black aggro deck in Wilds of Eldraine, something we have seen quite a bit if you've watched any of my other drafts. This is very similar to all of those decks, curving out with a lot of great cheap creatures, a little bit low on the cheap removal here, just a Candy Grapple and a Torch the Tower, but a Rat Out and a Flick a Coin can work as combat tricks against bigger creatures and removal against really small creatures. Then once they play a super big blocker, we're going to steal it with a Tempting Apple, kill them with that, or just get a really wide board state and buff it up with Recruiter, or clear a path with our Bellowing Bruiser, or just play a gigantic Sugar Maw. So lots of ways to close out the game here. Mainly getting a bunch of early damage with a quick curve of creatures is the game plan, though, to get things started, get that life total halved early on to make all these big late game plays super lethal. So simple stuff, something we've done a lot and we'll keep doing to help we get some chromatic cubes. So for now, let's head into the gameplay, see how this deck does. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. We obviously want to hit some lands here. But if we hit 1 land, we're in a pretty solid position. Ideally, we'd hit a ton, though. Let's see. Hit the edge wall in is interesting. So, that is really interesting. Because it's a tap land here. I guess my 3-drop is a Flick a Coin, which really doesn't need to be cast turn 3, so I could still just roll out the Ratcatcher to get some damage here. But I kind of like the idea of getting the tap land out of the way and then maybe just, get a pest problem going with a Devouring Sugar Maw coming up. Being able to make as many tokens as possible is going to make that card as powerful as possible, give it as much time before we have to keep tapping it. We are against black-green. They're going to start with Tough Cookie, and things just play out absolutely perfectly for us, because now we just get to torch that and still use all our mana turn 1, even if it was only 1 mana we got to hold up. Okay. So, in order to cast this Sugar Maw, I do need to hit another swamp off the top. Or I need to Flick a Coin to get a treasure. So I guess I'm not going to cast it turn 4 here. We can go Pest Problem into Edgewall Pack and just save the Sugar Maw for later. If I had drawn another swamp to guarantee the Sugar Maw next turn, I think I'd cast the Have for Dinner adventure instead of the Pest Problem adventure. Because I do want to ideally cast the Sugar Maw's adventure before I play it. So I could always Flick a Coin there 1-1. But I think I like Pest Problem Edgewall Pack for the curve here. Yeah, this looks good to me. Scarecrow Guide is another option that guarantees Sugarmaw next turn for filtering that black source for us. But the Scarecrow Guide doesn't attack into their 1/1 at all. I think I'm cool playing the Edgewall pack. This might also bait out a removal spell. If we get them to just kill our 3/3 Menace instead of our 6/6 Menace Trample, that'll be pretty nice for us. And I think a 3/3 Menace is scary enough that it might prompt them to cast a removal spell. There's a Questing Druid that's going to sit there and get bigger as they cast non-green spells. And there is a Princess Takes Flight, so they are going to use removal on our Edgewall pack, and I imagine they're going to bargain away the Princess Takes Flight or stockpiling Celebrant it or something to stop us from getting the Edgewall pack back. No blocks from our opponents, so we cannot just flick a coin at the Questing Druid, which is a little sad. Can cast 2 spells here. Ratcatcher and Scarecrow Guide, Ratcatcher and flick a coin, Scarecrow Guide and flick a coin. Can do my Adventure and any of these other spells. They're at 15. They're going to get +2/+2 flying next turn. I don't think I'm flicking a coin. Well, you know what? Let's go Ratcatcher. It's just basically a better Scarecrow Guide now since we've hit the double black. And if they buff the 1/1, okay, I was going to say, if they buff the 1/1, I'll flick a coin at it. Maybe stop 3 damage this turn. But if they buff the Questing Druid, then I'll just not flick a coin. I'll just get the 1/1 in the food off the Sugarmaw for the turn. Oh my god, Imidane's Recruiter is the draw. And I've already got the white source from the Edgewall in. Ready for a Train Troops instead. Seems good to me. Charmed Clothier. Double buff the Questing Druid for casting a white spell and putting a Royal Roll on it. Cool. If I want to train troops, I don't get to cast anything else right now. But I don't hate it. They're down to 2 cards in hand here. Just get a disturbingly large board. Show me the bargain. No bargain for the Edgewall pack to keep it permanently exiled? I guess no bargain for the Princess Takes Flight to keep the Edgewall pack permanently exiled, but you get what I'm saying. That's very, very good for us. Now our board is massive for an Imidane's Recruiter. And with that treasure token, I have the mana to play Recruiter and Belligerent, and that'll be a celebration triggering turn. Find an Emberth Veteran? I guess the celebration trigger is not that insane, so I could just get a wider board. Playing Veteran Guide and Recruiter here. Instead of just Belligerent Recruiter. Let's see what they got. I'm pretty sure we just attack with everybody. Alright. Turn my 2/1 into a puny snack. I mean, they're going to kill like 2 of my creatures here, but we're going to do like 10 plus damage. Good lord, we did 25 damage? Math truly is for blockers. We are 1-0 now, heading into game 2. Here we are on the play for game 2. Very happy to keep this one. Get things rolling with a spear guard. Could go for full value, saving the rat catcher for the pest problem, and just put a dragon mantle on the spear guard. If I miss a land drop, I'll be super happy to do that, because using the mantle to help try to find the swamp is nice. We didn't miss a land drop, but we did miss the swamp, so I think I'm still cool digging here. Especially with my opponent tapped out. Uh-oh. I guess quadruple mountain with a dragon mantle out isn't the absolute end of the world, but obviously we will want to draw a black source eventually. Our opponent did get their turn 1 Utopia Sprawl, which is always super nasty. They got the Mountain Dew pea-colored forest up there. Grand Ball Guest, and that is it. Alright, well, attack with the Spear Guard. If they block, I buff it. If they don't, then I don't. Alright. We do hit a black source. This edge ball in will be a tapped swamp. But for now, we're just going to cause a pest problem. There's a Charming Scoundrel from our opponent, a 1/1 haste with a variety of abilities to choose from. They'll probably take the Wicked roll, yep, to buff one of their creatures, and they'll buff the Scoundrel. Jam in for 5, they say. I will take it, go down to 15. That is it for the turn. Here's a pest problem. Find another pest problem. So the plan here is to jam for 3, put more pests on the board, and pass. Planning to win the race with the Tempting Apple out of nowhere. I think that's the hope. If they have like their own Tempting Apple, they are definitely going to win, because they're hitting us for more on board already. And they'll really be hitting for more on board if they do like an apple out of nowhere. But I guess our board state's pretty good against Tempting Apple, because they hit us for like an extra 1 damage with one of our creatures. Oh, if I had that black source untapped here, Candy Grapple would have been disgusting. Get the 2-for-1 on the Ball Guest. Alright, so probably, yeah, play a Werefox. We take 5, and then we crack back for 5. Yep. Next turn I can play a Ratcatcher and a Candy Grapple, and then whatever they play to stabilize with, we play the Tempting Apple on and kill them. It's definitely a dream. I think that is our goal. Alright, we're at 10, they're at 7. If they don't kill us this turn, we will probably kill them with Tempting Apple, especially if we draw any of our lands except our second copy of Edgewall in. There's only 1 tap land left in the deck, which is the second Edgewall in, but any other land in the deck, Crystal Grotto, Swamp, Mountain, would mean we could play the apple and throw it at our opponent to make them lose 3 life in the same turn, which stacks on an insane amount of damage. Ooh, I don't know if I actually like that. They play a Corvald and the Noble Thief. Would have preferred if they just jammed out a gigantic creature, because obviously that'd be a great Tempting Apple target. On the plus side, that doesn't really do anything until turn 3 or chapter 3, and this game is not going to last that long. Somebody's going to die before that saga gets to chapter 3. Me or them. Troublemaker, oof. It's a little dork. And they're just going to hold everybody up. Oh, and we hit our 1 tap land left in the deck instead of any of the 11 untapped lands here. Okay. Far from ideal. So, if we steal their 3/3 trample, their best blocks are to block the trainee and the spear guard and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess they still lose, right? Stop 2 damage there, stop 2 damage there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they actually just exactly die still. Okay. Never didn't have it. I thought it was a big bummer that we hit the tap land here, but I guess they're still dead. Even if we can't throw the apple at them immediately. Yeah, the most damage they stop is 2 damage apiece from each of these. Stop 2 damage there, stop 2 damage there. That's 7. And they can block a different way if they want, like putting one of them on the Grand Ballgast, but that's still going to be 7 because trample for 1. Thanks to their monster roll. All right. That is going to end game number 2. We are 2-0 heading into game 3. Here we are for game 3. We are just on the play all day. That is wild. But we'll take it. Start things off with a Grand Ballgast with the Pest Problem to follow it up. Turn 1 Fairy Dream Thief from our opponent. Ooh, that's a huge, huge, huge swing here. Witcher's Vanity to kill our creature, get a food, and a Wicked Roll onto the Dream Thief. Card is disgusting against aggro. Just kind of disgusting on curve in general. I think I'd rather have 1 Sweet Tooth Witch than 2 rats right now. Bramble Familiar. They're stuck on 2 lands, so we will happily offer the trade into that Bramble Familiar, and there's no universe in which they block. So we just get our 3 damage in, and then we start making some pest issues. Alright, Wicked Roll onto the Dream Thief. Jam in for 2 in the sky. Now they have 3 mana available. Tanglespan Lookout is the play. So if they get some more roll production, that's going to be real bad for me. I think I'd rather Edgewall in on red so that I can cast 2 spells in 1 turn without needing a Scarecrow Guide on board. And then if we draw into one of our white adventures, we're just going to have to spend some time getting the Scarecrow Guide on the board. Because I think it's very possible in the immediate future, as in like next turn, that I want to just play 2 Ratcatcher trainees and then I can't because I don't have a second red source. So I think we're edgeballing on red instead of white. I also think I can't really just threaten the rat attack here. Tanglespan Lookout is probably a pretty valuable card for them that they're pretty unlikely to block a rat with. Because why would I attack with the rats unless I had a combat trick? But I don't think I quite want to make that bluff here. There's just no guarantee how our opponent responds. Alright, there's a Sweet Tooth Witch. Yeah, because that's the issue with making that kind of bluff, is there's always the possibility that they just don't have any other roll production in their hand, at least not till like 5 mana or something like that. In which case they would just be like, oh, this lookout's not that valuable, so if it gets got by a combat trick, that's fine, because if they're bluffing, I blow them out, and then we would get blown out, if that's their thinking. Okay. Opponent is at 14. I do not think we're really winning the race. Because they have 2 food tokens out there. I guess they do not have the mana to sit there and just eat their food. They can hit us for 11 damage next turn if they throw a food at us. And the witch is still around. 3 for 6. I can put them down to 8. Yeah, I guess we can kill them in 2 swings here. If they keep attacking us with everybody. And we keep attacking them with everybody. This is 4 power on the board. 3 of it has menace. Could also do 4 power on the board. All of it has first strike. I think I just want to do the edge ball pack here. We might find a kill throwing a food at them with the witch, or we might find a kill beating a path with Bellowing Bruiser. If I don't hit a land, I go Spear Guard, beat a path. If I do hit a land, I probably go beat a path and throw a food at them. Because throwing a food at them is 2 damage, but hitting them with a Spear Guard is 1. And we just hope they attack in such a way that we get the kill. I guess maybe playing 2 Ratcatcher trainees here would have incentivized them to attack us a little more, since we wouldn't have solid blocks up. But here it's like, now I have a 3/3 to threaten to block their 2/2 or their 2/3, so they probably don't attack in with those. Ooh, they don't even attack in with the Dream Thief. Alright, so they're going to play it real safe, which is fair. They have a lot of food over there if they don't just randomly die. 8 life, can I make them randomly die? If they can only block 2 of my creatures... If they can only block 2 of my creatures, because of the menace, the best way to do that would be block a witch and a 1/1, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7? I can't kill them, I can put them to 1. If I had 1 more mana, I could kill them. If I could beat a path and throw food at them. I guess I can force the blocks I want. I go stop that, and I kill one of these 2 and put them to 1 life. But then I don't have any burn in my hand. But I only lose 2 creatures, they lose 1. They'd have 4 blockers left, we'd have 4 attackers left, one of which has menace. We'd have a Spear Guard to play. But then if they sit there and just eat food, it ends badly for me. I probably have to just set up more attackers for now. Yeah, let's play another edge ball pack, I guess. I don't think we're quite there. So close. And now, yeah, I just get more time to draw into lands to be able to play a creature and eat a food in the same turn, which would be tremendously bad. Or just eat 2 food. Eating 2 food is a 6 life difference. And they've got the 4 mana up. Ooh, wow. Knight of the Sweet's Revenge. All of their food taps for mana now. Play a Sir Ginger. So they can eat 1 food. They're at 11 here, basically, because their food taps for mana. Make it so they only have 1 blocker. At 11. 11 life, 1 blocker up. They can't block the Pax. They block the Witch. They take 6 plus 5. Yeah, they die. They do die. I don't think it matters what I shut off. They just eat 1 food and take 12, right? Block that, take 6, 7, plus 5, yeah, take 12. Super, super close game. Really tight one mana-wise as well. Our opponent was super, super stuck on mana, even with that Bramble Familiar. And also us, with just 4 lands out, we still had so much stuff to do. And all of the mana was spent just all game long. So many cheap spells from both players there. Cluttering up the board quickly, but we are now 3-0 heading into game 4. Here we are on the play again for game 4. Thanks to the Crystal Grotto, we're definitely going to edge ball in for a black source, and we'll just filter with the Crystal Grotto if I need to play any off-color adventures. We'll just play them slightly off curve. Cool. Start things off with the Grand Ballgast, and with that Sweet Tooth Witch as the draw, we can trigger Celebration 2 turns in a row here. I could go Sweet Tooth Witch, attack for 3, then I can go Belligerent plus Rat Out, and that's also Celebration. Oh. Well, if they freeze the Ballgast in place, then no real point in celebrating. Not much to celebrate when our guests are an icicle. Now is not the time for festivities. Alright, let's just play the Belligerent now then. So I can... Wow, alright. Let's say so I can menace without having to... rat out. But I guess... I wouldn't have the Menace Celebration trigger on the board unless I played the Belligerent in the first place, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, I just want to play the Celebration cards before the Celebration enablers. But yeah, drawing into the Edge Ball pack was sick here, because that's just a better play. Use all of our mana, slam in for 4, beautiful turn. Rhyme for Reindeer. When they play enchantments, they can tap our stuff down. Doesn't lock it down, though. Wow, these draws. These draws are solid, I would say. Let's play an Edge Ball pack. Menace up the Belligerent. They can double block to kill one of these. I'm going to send everybody in because they're probably double blocking Belligerent to the ball here, so we just get an extra damage in by sending a rat in as well. Just trade into the Reindeer hit for 4. Yep. Rat Out will not save the belligerent or kill another creature, so we'll just take that 1-for-1 trade. To jam in for extra damage with such a wide board state, it is certainly worth it. Charade of Numbing Depths. Lock down the Edge Ball pack and draw a card. That's going to be great for our opponent. Still in a solid, aggressive position here, though. Send in the Vigilant Knight, since it can still defend them. Find a Flick a Coin. Well, it's going to be a Rat Out turn, because I need to trigger Celebration pre-combat, I think. But I guess I could, like, surprise Celebrate with Flick a Coin plus Rat Out, which would be cute, but this way I get to trigger Celebration while putting another 3-power creature on the board, which is pretty big. And Rat Out is still going to be a big deal during combat. Yep, clear out the 2-2 with it. Well, 6, 7, 8, 9... I can put them to 1 life if I throw the food at them instead of casting Rat Out, but I think it's got to be Rat Out. If it's literally lethal to throw the food at them, then I would do that. Oh, and I'm bad at math anyway. 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess I thought I had 4 3-power creatures hitting them for some reason. Which is dumb. See, the problem is I was trying to do math while I was an attacker. We're just supposed to click the all attack button every turn and just let things happen. They're down to 6. They're facing our board that has like 11 power. 6 of which has Menace. There is a Princess Takes Flight to exile an Edge Ball pack. Just going to say they're definitely going to want to kill the Sweet Tooth Witch as well, since it threatens to shoot them in the face for 2. So there's a Fairy Fencing for that one, but they're at 6 life. They can block a Grand Ball Guest and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is not lethal. Well, they have to block the Grand Ball Guest no matter what here. Because they take 6 otherwise and die. I guess I could Flick a Coin at Charade and then, you know, they do the block, take the trade there. Or theoretically, I could Flick a Coin at Charade and then they might just block the rat and go to 1. I think I have to Flick a Coin main phase 1 to see if I draw something else. But it is kind of awkward because if I kept Flick a Coin and if for some reason they blocked the rat, they would just straight die on the spot, but I highly doubt that they would. Alright, let's see. Put them to 1. Okay, I'm just going to shoot Charade here. Alright, cool. We find Celebration, which means they're dead, right? Because now, because I flicked Charade, if they block here, they get trampled and take 4, 5? No, they're not dead. They just go to 1. And I keep the Ball Guest. Which I guess is the exact same result as if I just flipped their face for 1. Then I would trigger Celebration on Ball Guest, and they'd have to trump the Ball Guest and go to 1. Alright, yeah, that worked fine. I don't know if flicking Charade was correct, but the end result was the exact same thing because of what we drew into. Definitely main phase 1 flick, 100%. Because if we didn't main phase 1 the flick, we would not have gotten an extra Celebration trigger there. drawing into a sorcery speed creature. Alright, there's a Tome Seeker. See if it's enough here. Keeps our Edgewall pack exiled forever, thanks to the bargain. But I don't remember what instants and sorceries they have in their grave. Just the Tapper, right? Yeah. Just a freeze in place for one of our 4 creatures. They've got to stop all of them to not die. They've got 1 blocker for the other 3. And that is not going to be enough. We are now 4-0. Undefeated. Guaranteed to be at least breaking even in the event, even if we lose the next 3 at this point. Solid start to this draft as we head into game number 5. Here we are for game 5 against Quarter Calls, host of the Limited Level Ups podcast. Highly recommend it for your commute, or if you go on a daily walk or anything like that. I listen to the various limited focused Magic podcasts, and Limited Level Ups is a very, very solid one. All right. We're definitely playing the Edgeball in turn 1. And this might be bad, but I am going to just do it on white immediately for if we draw any of our adventures. Could be an issue if we just keep drawing into red spells where we want to play 2 in 1 turn, and I just can't now. Alright, let's get the ball gas down. Red-black mirror match, it looks like. Cord doesn't know that, though, because of our Edgewall in on white. There's a Minstrosity. So, torch the Minstrosity, save a grapple here. Seems reasonable. Forecasting Candy Grapple very hard, because that's just how Magic Arena is. Alright, let's grapple the Witch. And drop an Edgewall pack, send in for 3. And we gotta hit some gas here, because we are already out of steam, but our board state's pretty good. There's a Baronati. Ooh, that lifelink's a big deal. Oh, the double Baronati? Surprise black-red fairies dot deck. That kind of just gets us here. Drawing the 1/1 turn 5 is definitely not what we're looking for. Yeah, no adventure creatures. We've got no good attacks. They just triple block Edgewall pack. We kill 1 Baronati. Alright, Spear Guard and Pass is where we're at now. And then Cord just starts draining us out with that lifelink. I guess Cord can't super afford to attack here, but Hopeless Nightmare just to get the Scry 2 was an excellent play. Win this top deck war pretty handily, because we are not drawn well naturally. Well, at least Cord scries both to the top, which means he doesn't really get any extra scry value. He's just getting what he was already going to draw. So he was already top decking gas, which is not great. Oh my god, a 3rd Baronati? The dream. Well, guess we're trading an Edgewall pack into a Baronati here. I think I actually sent in the whole team at this point, right? Because Cord's just going to double block Edgewall pack and buff Baronati, I imagine. So by sending in the 1/1s, we get in some more damage. No, block a Spear Guard and just gain the extra. Fair. Nothing in the grave that we can pick up. This is just the nuts. So much lifelink, and there is no way to stop it. I need 3 removal spells because they're all giving each other lifelink. Oh, and the recruiter too for the premium uncommon. What does Cord go to here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and can eat a food. Oh my god. Cord can go to 21 life? So basically, like, if I top deck my own Imidane's Recruiter, I could win, but that's my only out at this point. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They don't die. I guess I'm just on top deck Imidane's Recruiter. Rat Out is not an Imidane's Recruiter. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, that is it. Dang. Here we are now for game number 6. We've got that Rat Catcher into Edgewall pack for the curve. I'll hold up the Rat Out here. Hopeful Vigil. That is a 2/2, not a 1/1, so no Rat Out. Okay, ooh, find the Sugar Moss, and now we go... Want to Candy Grapple at all here? Probably not. We go Rat Catcher Trainee. Next turn we play Crystal Grotto and have for dinner. And we're hoping to hit a swamp by turn 4, so then I can just slam down the Sugar Maw. As the turn 4 play, that'd be pretty nice. Ooh, Curse the Werefox against the Trainee. Solid removal here. Kill our creature, get their +1/+1 roll. Let's scry off the Crystal Grotto, see if we find the swamp here. We do not find the swamp. If I hit a 5th land of any kind, that can also cast the Sugar Maw. And Torch the Tower is a valuable card. So I think I have to just keep the Torch here. And now we're just playing a Sweet Tooth Witch, threatening to block their 3/3. Because I don't need to cast Devouring Sugar Maw's Adventure until I expect to be playing it the next turn. And we are 100% not playing Devouring Sugar Maw next turn. So we might go for its Adventure and Torch the Tower for our play next turn. Alright, no attack with the Vigilant 3/3 Trample. This is a trade up for Sweet Tooth Witch, so we'll offer it here. Okay. I do like that Torch the Tower gives us a scry here to try to find land 5 for the Sugar Maw. But I'm also pretty happy to just play Edgeball Pack and get a solid board. Yeah, we'll just go for that. Put a stop on my upkeep, so I could scry in the upkeep if I want to, off Torch the Tower. Probably not, though. Alright, a Root Rider Fawn for our opponent, as well as an Up the Beanstalk to draw a card. We've got a lot of food available. Yeah, let's just draw naturally. Find Minstrosity. Can clear their board with Torch the Tower and a Candy Grapple. And I don't hate that. Still have a Rat Out left over. But they will have those Scavengers that threaten to block as potentially 5/4s. But I can Rat Out to reduce that to 4/3, so they still trade down into a Sweet Tooth Witch. And they'd have to sack one of their food to do that, which would mean less life for them in the future. Plus that soaks up all their mana, 3 to play the Scavenger and 1 to eat the food. I think it's reasonable to just clear this board here, and that is what I will do. Scry the Emberth Veteran out of here. Grapple the Fawn. Put them to 10. Alright, play the Scavenger. Hold up the 1 mana to eat a food. So we will compete here with Rat out to get the trade. Unless they don't want to eat a food, then they can just block our Rat. So they can eat the food to try to kill Sweet Tooth Witch without losing Scavenger, but we can Rat out in response if they do that, so we still both lose our creatures. Beautiful. And then I still have Sugar Maw's Adventure or Monstrosity here. Opponent at 6, I think I actually just jam out Monstrosity rather than use Sugar Maw's Adventure. Pass turn. Well, let's hold up this Flick a Coin when we go to combat and see what's up here. Doubt it's gonna help us, but we'll see what's going on. Witchstalker Frenzy off the Prophetic Prism to kill our Edgewall pack. Just more removal? Nope. 1 removal spell, eat a food. Fair enough, they're down to 4. Let's jam out the big Trampler. This will be our first game. We got to jam in with our fruitcake, and it is gonna end the game. We are now 5-1 in the money as we head into round 7. Here we are now for game number 7. This hand's actually pretty close to a mulligan, but not quite there for me. Still jamming some good threats down early. We get to trigger Celebration turn 3 on this Ballgast by playing Monstrosity and Dragon Mantle in the same turn. And if we just naturally draw a couple Sweet Tooth Witches, we can trigger Celebration off those instead. Our opponent starts with one of the best uncommons in the format. Welcome to Sweet Tooth. Absurdly good for the rate. 2 mana for a 3/3 and a food token, basically. Now their creature's not going to buff itself up to 3/3 stats just yet, but it will soon enough. I actually think throwing a Dragon Mantle onto the Ballgast this turn is pretty nice because Monstrosity and the Sweet Tooth Witches are going to attack just the same against a 3/3 blocker, which we know they're going to have. But if I get this Dragon Mantle onto the board now, cycle it into another card, we do get to trample over for an extra point of damage next turn, since I will have a 4th mana just sitting there after casting a Sweet Tooth Witch. So Rat out for the Monstrosity, which is pretty gross. But hey, hold up no blocks for Grand Ballgast. Just buff up their 3/3 into a 4/4. Alright, we're racing. I do love me some races. Especially with the Scarecrow Guide as the draw. Hold on. Scarecrow Guide is significantly worse than Sweet Tooth Witch this turn, because we're getting Celebration, playing a bigger creature, a creature with a relevant damaging ability as well, being more mana efficient. I mean, I guess because of the Dragon Mantle, I'm technically being just as mana efficient. I just dump all the red into Grand Ballgast after playing the Scarecrow. But yeah, I think Celebration plus Fire Breathe here and play the bigger creature is better, even if it means I'm not guaranteed to train troops next turn. I think it's possible here that we're racing fast enough that we might even want to just play a Scarecrow Guide and a Recruiter next turn and just have 2 hasting creatures out of nowhere. And that would also trigger Celebration while doing that. Okay, there's the puny snack on the witch. They're going to hit us for 5. So what do we hit them for if we do Scarecrow Guide plus Recruiter? So our Ball Guest shoots its way up to 4 power. Recruiter hits for 3 and Guide hits for 3. So 4 plus 3 plus 3. We hit for 10. And then on turn 6, I have a Sweet Tooth Witch and the mana to throw a food at my opponent. Tempting. I can't train troops this turn since I didn't play the Scarecrow Guide, but... if I did, the Ballgast would be Puny Snacked instead here. They're likely to tap out for a Gingerbread Hunter next turn. Does that help the decision at all? I feel like Sweet Tooth Witch for extra damage out of nowhere could really get us there. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to Recruiter for it here. Oh no, they have a second rat out. Because they have a 1 mana spell it's holding for. Well, that does make this a lot worse. Getting double rat outed in their opener is nasty. It's not a rat out. What do they have for 1 mana? I guess it could be a green 1 mana spell because of the Prophetic Prism that's holding for them there. Could be the Hexproof Trick, maybe? Could be the target creature that's going to die this turn comes back to the board with a Wicked Roll instead. Some stuff it could be for sure. Alright, feed the Cauldron. Probably hold the mana up for the food. It's going to make it so we don't just kill them here. Yep. Oh, they're just going to eat the food immediately. That works too. Okay, they have 2 spells left in their hand. If neither of those are removal, Witch can shoot them for 6 over time. Think I have to play the Witch and throw food at them? If I had 1 more mana somehow magically, then we could slam in, put them down to 4, kill them with the Witch. Which is rough, because the fact that they have another food means they are going to be at 9 when we start trying to drain them for 6 total. Yeah, let's just play the Witch pass. Start throwing these food at their face. No third removal spell, please. We've been rat outed, feed the Cauldron, and puny snacked. They have... if they have a 4th removal spell, then they do kind of just win, because they just kill the Sweet Tooth Witch, and then they play a Gingerbread Hunter and super stabilize on a later turn. Alright, Ferocious Werefox is the play. Holding up that 1 mana trick, hexproof trick, or return something to the grave kind of trick, I imagine. Wait, they tapped out of... hold up, they tapped out of eating the food, though. Oh, no. I didn't even notice that punt either until I activated the Sweet Tooth Witch, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I could just throw all these food at them if they don't have the mana to eat their own. Alright, rough punt for our opponent. They probably still lose though, right? Because if that last card in their hand that they were trying to hold up was just +1/+1 or reanimate a creature, then obviously they die if they play the Werefox. So if they didn't have a cheaper creature in their hand, then the alternative was to eat the food and be at 7. Block there, but they're at 7 life, taking 4 plus 4, taking 8 total. Still go to -1 there. Yeah, seems like our opponent was probably dead no matter what, but obviously that just put them dead without us even needing to declare an attack, which is extra nice. And we are now 6-1, very far in the money, getting 1,800 gems and 5 extra packs out of the event. But we do have that chance for a full-on 7-win max prize run here, and we have 2 rounds in the chamber to get there. So without further ado, let's head into that final battle. All right, here we are for the final boss. Our opponent is on the play, and we don't do anything till turn 3, but I think I'd still rather keep this than take a mulligan. We do find a 2-drop, that Scarecrow Guide. It's Crystal Grotto. Try to scry a land to the bottom. Beautiful. I will scry a land to the bottom. There's a Grand Ballgast, turn 2 from our opponent. There's an Embereth Veteran, fashionably late. We'll play that Scarecrow Guide. And this 1-mana spell does not fit into our curve grate anymore. There's a Voracious Vermin, perfect target for a Flick-a-Coin here. And I don't get a tremendous amount of value. Trying to use my treasure to play a 5-drop turn 4 or anything like that. So I think I'm just going to use the treasure to play the Embereth Veteran like immediately here. Maybe even a Spear Guard instead. Get haste damage in. Next turn we play Sweet Tooth Witch plus Embereth Veteran. Yeah. I think I kind of like Embereth Veteran here, so if they don't trigger Celebration, they don't really get an attack in with the Ballgast. And next turn we get to play Sweet Tooth Witch plus Spear Guard. Ooh, Skewer Slinger. Well, no good attacks till I get that out of the way. Find an Edgewall in, which is actually solid for this hand, because eventually we just jam out a 4/4, make them use a removal spell on that, and then just pick it back up. So, since the Spear Guard can't do anything against Skewer Slinger anyway, I guess I'm just playing a Sweet Tooth Witch and getting the tap land out of the way. That seems reasonable. I've got the Crystal Grotto and a Scarecrow Guide here. Let's just have this be a red source until we sack it. Ooh, Imodane's Recruiter. Hello, how are you doing? Okay. Well, that is horrendous. Guess we can try to clear the board and see what their last card in hand is here. Because if the board gets cleared, we are winning. It's 1 card to 4. Now 2 of our cards are lands, but just Bruiser plus Edgewall in is tremendous value in a little aggro mirror match here. Just 2 4/4s locked in. There's Totentans for Death Touch on attacks only. Yep, so we still get great Bruiser attacks of our own in. We are outracing them, especially with a food and a Tempting Apple potentially coming up. Here's a Spear Guard that cannot attack into a Totentans. And there's the concession from our opponent. A little bit of flooding there, I guess, and going to be a quick, clean 7-1. I guess not perfectly clean. I guess we didn't get the perfect, pristine 7-0 crystal clear kind of run here because Corticalls did show up with those life-linking fairies and his own Imodane's Recruiter to beat me up and take my lunch money, but we did still get a nice max value 7-win run for max prizes. Here's another look at the deck, but this was just an excellent, pretty simple draft pod for us. We got a lot of powerful red and black spells. The colors were relatively open to get Candy Grapple, Torch the Tower, along with some really, really premium creatures like double Ratcatcher, Imodane's Recruiter, of course, double Edgewall pack. The little white splash for the Sugarmaw and the Recruiter was pretty fun. Never ended up being super duper powerful. I don't even know if we cast either of these adventures, honestly. But I don't feel like we ever got super hindered by our mana base, but certainly playing some tap lands slowed us down a tiny bit, and I actually don't think we cracked the edge wall in once, so probably the biggest flaw of our deck is the kind of slower, splashier stuff, maybe the grindier stuff of the Graveyard Recursion from Edgewall in, because none of the splashy things affected the games at all. We just kind of won with our base main deck red-black stuff, so maybe that was a little bit greedy, a little bit silly to go for these little splashes here, but I think it was fine overall, even if we didn't end up using them today. I'm sure there were positions where we could have used them, thanks to all of our fixing, and never got punished to the point of losing a game from it. Our only loss was, again, that mirror match against Corticals with all those life linkers going around, and of course the Imidane's Recruiter coming in, so I don't think anything particularly bad happened with our deck there. We just got outclassed a little bit, where we curved out decently, got our celebration triggers for extra damage, just could not outpace all the lifelink on Cord's board. So yeah, pretty happy with the deck's performance. Always going to be happy with the 2,200 gems and 6-pack prizes, but that's going to do it for today's draft, and that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and you're interested in seeing more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.